Oh, shit. Hey, everybody know Team Crawford. Y'all know I get active. Let's go.
Dante's Boxing Nation, what's going on, guys? So Andre Ward, he recently did an interview, and he was asked if you could just name about 3 fighters that you feel are built like you, that just wants all the smoke. They're willing to move up in weight, whatever it takes to show that they're the best. What fighters would you say are built like that today? And Andre Ward, he said, man, honestly, I could only say one right now. I can only say one. He said there may be more than one, but for sure, I can only say one, and that's Terrence Crawford. Guys, I am telling you right now, after the boxing world seeing what Crawford did to Errol Spence, the majority of boxers, they said to themselves, thank God that man is not in my weight division. And now that Terrence Crawford is moving up to 154 at 36 years old and naturally the smaller guy, and you still have fighters that are not in too much of a hurry to get in the ring with him. Sebastian Fundora's promoter was very honest. He recently came out, did an interview, and he said that Errol Spence is the easier fight. And he said they want to make Crawford wait, maybe 1 or 2 fights.
And he would get the rematch, but not in this moment. Now I need to maximize the most money for the fighter. And I believe he deserves it.
Is that Errol Spence Jr.?
That's correct.
Over Crawford? Like, does Spence more money? Or?
No, Crawford will not sell out 90,000 people in Dallas. I can tell you that much.
But is Crawford the better fighter that you think?
Yes, but, you know, like everybody wait. Like Benavides wait. Why not Crawford? Let him wait 1 time or maybe twice, and then he go.
Even with Spence, you know, losing the fight, Crawford beating, you still think the value's better on Spence?
In the end of the day, is maximize the profit for the fighter. And it'd be stupidity for me not to do that for him.
So safer for Spence.
And besides that, boxing is business. As Mayweather, as everyone.
Yeah, Samson is right. Boxing is a business. And when people say boxing is a business, what they really mean is losing is bad for business. Now, first of all, it's a terrible example to use Floyd Mayweather. Because for those of you guys who don't know, when Floyd Mayweather was in his early 20s, Floyd Mayweather was the boogeyman in his division. He had everyone avoiding him. He was like Devin Haney back then. Floyd had Nassim Hamed avoiding him. He had Acelino Popo Freitas avoiding him. Joel Casamayor. He called out Costa Tszyu. And only reason that fight didn't happen because Ricky Hatton ended up beating Costa Tszyu before Floyd Mayweather could get the fight. And when Floyd Mayweather was 36, coincidentally the same age that Terrence Crawford is today, Floyd Mayweather, he was fighting the much bigger, younger, stronger version of David Benavidez, which was Canelo Alvarez. And at age 38, Floyd Mayweather, he was fighting Manny Pacquiao, who was younger than him and was considered pound for pound number 2, the best fighter in the world. Not to mention, that fight was originally supposed to happen like 5 or 6 years earlier. The reason why the fight didn't happen is because Manny Pacquiao turned down the fight because he refused to do Olympic-style random drug testing. So you can't use Floyd Mayweather as an example for why Sebastian Fundora is fighting the guy that just lost as opposed to fighting the guy that just beat him, which is Terrence Crawford beating Errol Spence. But another example Samson used was Canelo. Now, you can use a Canelo example because that is truly a Canelo Alvarez move. Now, when you hear Sebastian Fundora's promoter, Samson, saying, oh, you know, well, fighting Crawford is not going to sell 90,000 seats. Samson, he sounds just like Teofimo Lopez when he was trying to justify fighting against George Kambosos in Australia. That's exactly what he said. He said, why would we fight Haney when we could sell 100,000 seats in Australia fighting against George Kambosos? The reality is this situation has nothing to do with money, and it never has anything to do with money when you see a fighter turning down the tougher opposition. That's the reason why, once again, Lopez, he stood to make over $4 million to fight Haney. He turned down that fight to fight George Kambosos, and he made $1.5 million. Because he would rather keep winning, making less money than taking an L for one big payday. I mean, let's just be realistic here. Let's be honest. If Sebastian Fundora, if he stood to make, let's say he stood to make $5 million against Crawford, and he stood to make $4 million against Errol Spence, which fight do you think he would take? He would take the Errol Spence fight for less money because he has a better chance of beating Errol Spence. That's his way of thinking. Guys, Virgil Ortiz was Terence Crawford's mandatory, and Virgil Ortiz, he turned down the fight. Virgil Ortiz could have easily made anywhere from $3 to $5 million fighting against Terence Crawford for a world title. Do you guys know how much Virgil Ortiz makes today? He made $300,000 in his very last fight. You know why? Because they would rather get paid less and have a guaranteed win than suffer a loss for a big payday. Unless it's some crazy payday to where they're getting paid enough to retire, like $10 or $20 million. Teofimo Lopez is fighting against another nobody in his very next fight. He would have made way more money and they would have sold way more tickets if he would have fought Keyshawn Davis. So this has nothing to do with ticket sales. This has everything to do with having a better chance of winning your very next fight. I mean, if you had to fight Errol Spence or Terence Crawford next, I think all of us would pick Errol Spence, right? Because at least there's some type of blueprint of how to beat him. We've seen him get knocked out before, but there is no blueprint on how to beat Terence Crawford. Like I said, even if Sebastian Fundora was getting paid less to fight against Errol Spence, if he can beat Errol Spence, that means he lives to fight another day, which means he gets to maximize his money just like his promoter said. But guess what? If he loses to Terence Crawford in his very next fight and gets knocked out, he most likely won't get another big payday. He'd have to work his way back up the ladder. Now, this situation really has nothing to do with Errol Spence. It's more about Sebastian Fundora and his decision to once again fight the loser instead of fighting the winner. Now, for Errol Spence, this is great news, and I'm looking forward to seeing this fight. I just think it would have made more sense for Errol Spence to fight the loser of the Sebastian Fundora-Tim Tszyu fight and have Crawford fight the winner, because that's usually how it works in professional sports. You advance to the playoffs and then you go to the Super Bowl or the finals, etc., etc. You don't get eliminated in the playoffs and then go straight to the finals, go to the gold medal match. And let me say this as well. Even though I completely debunked the whole excuse of, it's all about money and it's all about selling tickets, etc., 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 for the fans that say things like that, if you're a boxing fan, why would you even care about what fight sells the most tickets? You're not a promoter. You're not a manager. You're supposed to be a boxing fan. You're supposed to want to watch the best fight the best, unless you just don't like a particular fighter and you just don't want to see him win anymore. With that being said, I'm going to wrap this video up. That's all I got for now, guys. I'm on to the next one. All right, now check this out, guys. If you're looking to repair eczema scars, burns and bruises, dark spots and blemishes, fever blisters, diabetic ulcers, this right here is the perfect product for you guys. It's called Debunking Face and Body Oil. Athletes and top-ranking boxers, they're also using it after training to reduce swelling, inflammation, and to ease the pain. So get yours today. Go to Debunking.com. Like them on Facebook and follow them on Instagram. Let me tell you guys about Issa Israel Law Firm. It is a full-service legal practice based in Denver, Colorado, an emerging hub for combat sports and high-altitude training. If you're a fighter inside or outside of the ring and you need a law firm you can trust to fight for you, visit thefighterfirm.com or email help@iilawfirm.com. Legal representation is usually limited to plaintiffs or defendants in Colorado, but iFirm can help anyone in the world with trademarking their business name, logos, and U.S. immigration issues. This brother has been my attorney for a while and helped guide me through all kinds of business and civil issues, so make sure you guys go to thefighterfirm.com.